Okay, so we've explained the map. Now let's go ahead and look at the blocks. Arnold asked the color, what are the little numbers in different colors on the map? That's for the setup information, and that's what we're going to do right now. At the beginning of the game, I'm going to expand a couple of these stacks here. At the beginning of the game, certain blocks are going to set up in certain locations on the map. So the Ishida faction, for example, if you look at Osaka, I'm going to drag these apart. If you look at Osaka, and I'm going to zoom in here so those watching by video can see this a little bit better. If you look at Osaka, you'll see that there are 6 little squares next to Osaka, and then there's a number, it says 2+, and it's in a little yellow box right next to Osaka. What that represents is the setup information. What that says is that there are 6 blocks that have a little square on them, and if you look at the Ishida blocks in the lower right hand corner, there's a square located there. That tells you that those are the units that set up in that particular location. So similarly, the Tokugawa faction, if you look here at Kyosu, let me expand those again. You'll see at Kyosu there are 3 stars, black stars, and then there's a 1+ in a black box. What that means is that there are going to be 3 blocks, Tokugawa blocks, that have a star on it that are going to set up there. Now here's what the +1, or in the case of Osaka, the +2 notations mean. What that means is that's the setup information telling you that you're going to draw 2 random blocks from that faction and place them in that location for the setup. So to start the game, that's what we're going to do here. We're going to go around the map and actually draw these blocks and put them into these locations. So, for example, Miyazu is a Tokugawa castle. It's got a 1+ next to it. That means we're going to draw one out of the Tokugawa reinforcement pool, and we're going to draw a random block out of there and put it in that location before we start playing. Now, as for the blocks themselves, they're really quite simple. First thing you'll notice, there's no numbers on them, just like a symbol for a particular Japanese daimyo or warlord. And some of them will have like a horse rider on it. Some of them have an arquebus. Let me see if I can find one that has an arquebus. Here we go. For the Tokugawa faction here, there's a unit that has a arquebus on it. Here's what those different symbols mean. First of all, let me cover the victory conditions, because some of these blocks pertain to that. There are a couple ways to win the game. One is a sudden death win, and you win a sudden death victory by eliminating certain blocks and capturing certain locations on the map. Basically, the Tokugawa player wins instantly if Ishida Mitsunari, if his block, Ishida Mitsunari's block, is eliminated in combat. Now, Ishida Mitsunari is actually this dude right here. This is known as a leader block. Leader blocks have these funny-looking vertical flags with dots in the center of them. And the Ishida faction has one leader that has 3 vertical dots, and that is Ishida Mitsunari. If he dies in combat, the Tokugawa player will win. Similarly, I'm trying to find Tokugawa. I think he's down here in Edo. Yeah, here we go. Here is the Tokugawa block. And you'll see again, he has the 3 white dots in that little vertical flag. That's Tokugawa Ieyasu, and so if he is killed in combat, the Ishida player is going to win an instant victory. The Tokugawa player is going to win instantly. Is going to win instantly if Ishida is killed in battle, or if the Toyotomi gold-colored disc is captured. There's actually 2 gold discs on the map, one of which starts at Osaka. These things never move in the course of the game. So if you capture Osaka, Osaka again is a castle, as designated by that little castle symbol next to it. It is a castle, and if you capture it, in the process of capturing that castle, you will eliminate this disc, and if you are to do that, the Tokugawa player wins an instant victory. So again, those are your instant win victories. Tokugawa wins by capturing Osaka, essentially, and eliminating this disc. Also by eliminating the Ishida leader block. So the Ishida player will win if he captures Tokugawa leader block. And those are the instant win conditions. Now, barring an instant win, the game will go to the very end of the B turn on week 7. At that point, victory is then assessed. Here's how you assess victory then. You give each player 2 points for each castle under their control. So at the start of the game, each player actually has 4 castles under their control, and so each player would essentially get 8 points. To break the tie then, you look at the resource locations. Now those resource locations are designated by cubes, and so each one of those cubes will give you 1 point. And so that's how you're going to usually going to break the tie. You give yourself 1 point for each of those cubes under your control. And if you're still tied, because theoretically I guess you could still have a situation where there is a tie, if you're still tied, then the tie is broken in favor of the Ishida faction. So the gold player, the Ishida player, would win a default victory if you were tied. But that's probably going to be a rare thing because there's an odd number of resource locations on the map. So that's I have a hard time imagining that sort of situation coming about at the end of the 7 weeks. All right, so that's their victory conditions. Again, the blocks basically have 2 important pieces of information on it. Some of them are going to have a setup notation on it. The other thing you need to realize is which ones are leaders and which ones are your run-of-the-mill units. Leaders, again, are units that have usually a Japanese symbol on the left, and on the right there's a vertical flag with 1 or 3 dots. The 3-dot boys are your leaders of each army, and if they're captured, it's game over. The other guys, if they're captured, it's no big deal necessarily. It's not a game-breaking situation other than that you lose that particular leader. Leaders do have a couple functions in movement and combat that we'll get to in just a few minutes. The other piece of information is how many Japanese symbols that you see. For example, this one right here is a Kobayakawa block, and it has 3 of these Japanese symbols known as mons, M-O-N-S. The number of mons dictates its strength. So this one here has 3 mons, this block here has 2 mons, this block has 1 mon, and obviously all leaders have 1 mon. That is its rating of strength when used in combat. Strength is gauged basically in terms of impact points that you're going to track on the impact track. So we'll explain more of that when we get to battle, but understand that units that have 3 mons on them are very, very powerful blocks. Now the blocks that have a horse, a cavalry symbol, or a arquebus symbol are special attack capable units. These guys here can give you very, very good bonuses in combat when paired with certain cards in combat. So understand that these guys, even though they have only 1 mon, they are very, very powerful units. All right, so those are your basic run-of-the-mill units. Again, leaders, little bit special. Now, over on the Tokugawa faction, there is 1 block here that is also a little special. It's a 4 mon block. And basically this one here is like the shock troops for the Tokugawa faction. And this one also has a symbol. It's like an empty square up in the upper left-hand corner of the block. You'll notice also that the leaders, your leaders like Ishida and I don't think Tokugawa has one. No, he doesn't need one. Ishida has one of these symbols. It's just a blank square on the left-hand side of the block. What that means is, in order to deploy a block into combat, you have to play a card that has a mon matching the mon on the block that you're deploying to combat. Now, because these shock troops here have a mon that's not going to match anything in the deck, you can actually play any card from the deck in order to deploy that particular block. So any card is going to be able to deploy this particular block. That's what that little square symbolizes. Same thing with Ishida. You're not going to find any blocks that have a mon matching Ishida Mitsunori's mon. So you can actually use any card to do so. That's what that square symbol is for. Okay, I think I have covered everything to do with the blocks, so let me go ahead and save the recording at this point, and we'll pick it up. We'll start showing how the cards work and how movement works.